Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast.
Hello Achievers, and welcome to episode number 76 of the Next Level Authors Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level up our author business. My name is Daniel Wilcox, and here with me every week is...
A very grumpy Sacha Black.
A very grumpy Sacha Black. I still can't believe I've not learned that intro off by heart. I still have to look at the notes. I feel like I feel like I know it, but I feel like I do it just for convenience. I was going to say something incredibly inappropriate, and I'm really proud of myself that I held back.
I know it off by heart.
Well, go on then. I've just fucking said it.
Hello,
so you've got an advantage.
No, what do you mean? Okay, fine. You can test me next week.
Okay, when you forget the episode number.
I don't even know what episode this is, and
I've just said it.
I wasn't really listening to you, if I'm honest.
No, it sounds about right. About right. How the hell are you doing, Sacha? Tell us about your grumpy week.
I am so grumpy. I'm putting on a good face, because I don't like to bring, poopy energy to the podcast, but
we are poo-poo heads.
We are poo-poo heads. Thank you, Scott's kids. Okay, so let me try and wrangle this into some kind of semblance of sense. So, you know how every creative, let me just finish that sentence there, goes through these cycles of mental euphoria and then mental despair.
Mm-hmm.
I am in the mental despair week. And the rational part of my brain knows that this is a temporary feeling and that it's okay and I will be okay and I will finish another book and blah, blah, blah. But I am in the middle of too many projects and I'm really struggling across the board. I am struggling with my sense of writing worth. My brain is telling me that I can't write, that I'm not a very good writer, that I should probably just not bother. I'm struggling with, I don't know, the business side, and some really good things have happened to me this week. And normally my competition and my achiever would be woohoo, but instead what has happened is I've spiraled, and the good things have my brain has taken the good stuff and managed to make it
negative.
Yeah, and when imposter syndrome, sometimes something good will happen, and instead of you being able to accept that and swallow it and celebrate it, your brain's just well, that you're never going to do that again, that's never going to happen, blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm in a tough spot mentally this week, I would say. Yeah,
it is really hard. When you have those moments that, well, like you say, it's temporary, because you've been through it before and it comes and it goes. Can you hear someone trimming a hedge? Because I can close a window if that's...
Are you trimming your bushes?
I fucking wish.
You really need to trim your facial bush, that is for sure.
We'll get into that. But that kind of feeling of your head's telling you one thing, but your body's telling you something else. And it's just such a really jarring feeling to be in that moment, especially to know that what you're feeling isn't necessarily correct's the wrong word, but you get what I mean. It's not necessarily truth.
Yeah. And I think it's being augmented by the fact that I am not completing anything. People who have achiever as a strength, generally speaking, spend a lot of their life dissatisfied because it's nothing you do is ever enough. You want to finish the next thing, you want to complete another thing. And usually I'm fine with this just sort of underlying bubbling level of discontent. But sometimes that then starts screaming. And I think because I do have too many things open, and this is a real lesson for me not to do this again. I am definitely going to keep the amount of things I have open narrower.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is making everything else worse because I can't even finish anything. Like, for example, I have a book that I've only got about 75 pages left of. And I just, like, normally I would read that easily in an evening. But because I'm doing these early mornings, I'm not getting any reading time in the evening. So I haven't finished the book I've been reading forever. I've only got 3 Rebel anthology stories left. I haven't finished those. Like, and it's like there are lots of little things that I could just push over the line to make my achiever happy. And I'm not getting through any of them. So yeah.
I would love to create a formula that was like, because the whole big, medium, little rocks theory, I absolutely love. Like, actually, I learned that through like an online webinar that I did with Joanna about 5-6 years ago. It was awesome. But that whole theory of like, put your big rocks in the jar first, then your medium rocks, then your little rocks, and then it'll all fit in, as opposed to trying to like just cram everything in. I'd love to work out like a formula for me for like how many big projects I can do at a time and balance with like a medium project and like smaller things, because it'd be really cool just to be like, no, now that's too many things, that's going to have to go on the later pile, and actually have that would just be like, for me, something visual would be really, really cool.
I think mine is two big projects, 2 to 3 at the most. Big projects. I don't think I can do.
How many have you got right now?
Couldn't even tell you. Big projects open. I've got the audiobook, the tray edit. I'm like almost 25k through Scent of Death. I've got 2 non-fiction books open with words in them. The anthology. I've got I lost count. Was that 6 or 7? 6. And then I've also got 2 massive presentation speaking gigs that are like 2 to 3 hours each. And then I've also got like business negotiation things going on in the background. And then did we mention the fact that I also have quite a significant freelance role that I do? And this is aside from so these are the ones.
And let's not forget, actual marketing of the stuff that you already have. That's a project in itself. So let's rewind. How many big projects do you think you can take on at once?
I think we should move swiftly on.
Well, I will say, because this is a repeating pattern for both of us. Like, anytime people ask what I'm up to, I will list all of the things I'm doing, minus my client work. Like, I don't understand. Like, I think we forget it because we know that's not where we're going or where we want to end up. So, like, in just engulfing yourself in the stuff that you want to do, you do forget the other stuff.
But they're just the big projects.
Oh, I know.
The medium or the small ones. That's a ridiculous thing. Like,
what we'll do is we'll extract this part of the episode and we'll send it to you in a tiny little thing just to remind yourself of what you've got going on. So in my news, just to move on from Sacha before she explodes, I say my news, my week, I have fucking smashed this week. Like,
you have.
I have torn up the road. I have left crevices in my wake and a slight smell of burnt rubber. I knew that bin men would come today. Can you hear that now? Because I can close the window if it's going to be too noisy.
I can't hear anything. I think other people may be able to. I don't know.
That's fine. It adds to the authentic experience of the Monica's Cupboard of what this episode is. So I decided to kind of like, inspired by you and your Silent Septembers, I started getting up at the old times that I used to get up. So I've been getting up every morning at 5:45 and writing from 6 till 7. Number one, because I want to fucking beat you. It's not. But like, so every morning I've managed to get between 1,500 and 2,000 words before the time that I was waking up previously. And what that's also meant is that I've gotten myself back on a roll of wording, so that, because I mean, number one, I have to do these words right now. I've got like a lot of client work to do right now. And to keep on top of it, I just have to be hitting big word counts. But like, because I'm getting up in the morning, hitting the words, I'm then on the roll with the story because I've thought of nothing else. And but I've been hitting my word count by sort of like 10:30, 11 o'clock every morning. And it's been such a freeing feeling because the rest of the day I can work on the other stuff that I've not been able to get to. And so I've done that 5 days this week, including today. Well, I've not hit my word count yet because obviously we're recording this on a Friday morning. But like I've been able to get ahead on sort of like my bootcamp stuff that I'm working on, like other things I've got in the works. And then I've had like time left at the end of the day spare to sit and actually like watch TV shows and like game and stuff and not feel guilty, because I feel like the last few months I've been in a real rut of, and I think part of it's because of a 6 weeks holiday. I think part of it's just falling out of like a good habit that worked for me. But like I've really felt like at the end of the day, I've not earned the rest that I've had, which has been a real issue for me. It does, like there was always something else to do. And like I knew that I wasn't working to a capacity that I was capable of. And, you know, this might change over the next few weeks, but like at the minute, this formula is working really, really well for me. And over the last week, I've managed to hit 28,500 words. And I've still got like, I'll probably do another 2 or 3K today. So I'm going to hit 30K for this week. And I've just done a lot. Like what else did I do? Oh yeah. So I've actually gone through, I've filmed a bunch of videos for some things that I'm working on. I have, like I say, just worked through an old list of things that have just been waiting for ages for me to get to. When winter comes, it's pretty much like all ready to go on the platforms. Like promotions are pretty much sorted with different companies and stuff. The Omen's Call anthology, that's all sorted and ready for launch on the 1st of October. So yeah, it's been a good week. What I will say is that one of the main downers I've had this week is, so I was on someone's
the pre-conversation to this.
Yes.
No. Way to bring the mood down, Sacha.
That's not what I mean. So like one of the big things that like, this fucking beard. Like, and what I will mention as well is for people on YouTube, at some point I may put sunglasses on today, because I came just before we were about to start recording, I came on with a migraine, and like I wore sunglasses in the preamble with Sacha and took some paracetamol just to like hide it. And it's doing well at pushing back, but just in case that might come back, we're troopers. This fucking beard. So I was recorded on someone's podcast today, this week, and it was their first podcast, and it's video. And I've got this fucking ginger puby beard that is growing into like a mop. It was a really hot day the day we recorded, so I'm like a sweaty fucking mess, because normally I close the windows because, you know, professionalism, but you know, this is NLA. And so I as I was recording, I came off that and I was like, this is going to be like, if this podcast kicks off and does what it's meant to, then this is going to be the episode people come back to rewatch where it all started. And it's just going to be this like, it's just going to be me sweating buckets and just looking awful with this beard, and that's how it's going to be immortalized. So yeah, I'm ready for it to come off. I've got another I think 10 days until I can properly measure myself, but like, I mean, it's a beard. It's gone probably better than I thought it would. Like, it's not, I don't look like a Chernobyl victim. Like I look, shut up, it looks okay. But yeah, and one other thing that I will say this week is I rediscovered N-Dubs.
What now? The band? Is this a music band?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is
They're
a
like,
throwback.
Like a grime.
How are you old enough to remember them?
How? They came out
You're
in
like 12.
They were big in what, 2008 through 2010, 11? I was 18 around the time that happened.
Oh my God, I had already finished university. You're so young.
Sorry, Gran. But I rediscovered N-Dubs. And like, they were never the best band in the world. Like, they were decidedly average.
I used to love them.
There was something about them that was really enjoyable. But you go back to them, and their music wasn't great. Their lyrics were really sort of like average. But there was just something about them that I enjoyed. And yeah, I spent most of this morning listening to their greatest hits, and it was a throwback.
I can't believe how different our experiences have been of mornings.
Yeah, we said this before we started recording, because, well, so like I say, quick sum up of mine. I'm getting up earlier, the habit's better, I'm more productive, and I've gotten time back. How's your experience been?
So I'm getting up earlier. I'm writing less words than normal. I have lost my me time and relaxation. And I'm really fucking grumpy.
Your laugh slays me. So yeah, the lesson to be learned there for people, not everyone's lives are the same. If people preach at you to get up earlier to do shit, it might not work for you, and that's okay.
I can tell you, my abs hurt.
Oh my god.
All these are lies.
Oh, I'm very warm.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna look back on the
Oh,
episode
God,
stats, and there's just gonna be like a drop off now of the people. So they're just gonna laugh for the whole fucking 40 minutes, whatever it is, however long these episodes are now. But yeah, the point being, everyone's different. It doesn't work for everyone. Please don't just like accept advice as gospel, because for me, it's working radically well. For Sacha, it's causing like a nuclear explosion in her entire life. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, you've only got 21 more days.
I can't wait to see the state I'm in at the end.
It was nice knowing
okay.
you. Okay, yeah. On to, like, that's just a check-in. I feel like this might be quite a long episode. What's something that you've enjoyed this week? Come on, Sacha.
Nothing.
Find something.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Do you know what? I was going to say nothing, and then I remembered something that like made me cry with joy. A very lovely lady called Rona tagged me on Instagram in a photo. And she had walked into a bookstore in America and seen a copy of 8 Steps to Side Characters on their bookshelf. A real life.
That's the dream.
It is the fucking dream. And I honestly can't believe, like, and I genuinely like burst into tears because it was just like the shock and and I tell you, that has kept me going all week.
How did that happen?
Well, I don't know. I assume it's through Ingram Spark. I was talking to the Alliance of Independent Authors about this because I had a feeling that this may have happened with the Anatomy of Prose as well. And the reason is because a lot of orders end up being fulfilled by Amazon, even when they're like pre-order, because Amazon doesn't always send them the pre-orders on time. Like, I don't know why this is. There's like a whole hoo-ha between Amazon and them in the background. There was a post on Ally, not too long ago, and yet I still get hundreds and hundreds of orders through in Ingram Spark. So they were saying that usually that is independent bookstores ordering books, but of course, if you're not in America, like in the UK, we don't actually have that many independent bookstores here. It's physical books in the UK are dominated by Barnes and Noble, Waterstones, Foyles a little bit, Blackwell's, and WH Smith, and they're just like these big chains. Like there are, like there's some Forbidden Planets, and then there are like the odd, independent bookstore. Like there's one that's like a fantasy store in Edinburgh that's wicked. And then but like unless you're in a big city, there aren't that many independent bookstores around here. There's one local bookshop here, but so I mean, there just are generally more local bookstores in America, so it's really hard for us to ever know whether or not our books go into bookstores. So like from me to anyone who goes into a bookstore and takes the time to take a photo when they see an indie author's book, like, thank you, because it genuinely means the world to us to know these things, because there is no way for us to know. So like, thank you to anybody, any reader, any writer who does that for another person. Like, it means the world.
Yeah, so I do think there's like a general public opinion of people who aren't writers, like just readers, who assume that basically if your book's in like a bookstore, that you're probably like huge and like everyone, you're used to this as a thing anyway. But like it really does mean a lot just to see that kind of stuff out there in the wild, because we don't really see that much. Actually, like getting people to begin tagging you in photos just in general when a book comes out is like difficult to start generating.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing that I've enjoyed this week, so I've been watching a TV show, and I finished it yesterday actually, or season 1 of it, and it's Sweet Tooth. Have you seen Sweet Tooth?
No.
So it's a show, like, I don't know how I stumbled across it, but the picture, like the cover picture on Netflix, doesn't really tell the story or do it justice, because the picture is just like a doctor holding a baby that looked like it's got like a deer, kind of like an animal face. But the premise of it is it's a post-apocalyptic world in which a virus has basically like killed lots of humans. But at the same time the virus launched, any baby that was then born was a hybrid baby between like human and animal. And it kind of follows a story of a boy who's like half human, half deer, and he was basically raised in the woods with his dad. And it's weird because for me, I've read and watched a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff, and I'm used to sort of like gritty and like gory and like really sort of miserable, dreary post-apocalyptic stuff. But because of the animal nature of it, it's like classed as a fantasy. So it's an apocalyptic series that leans much more heavily on the spin of the fantasy side. So there's not like a whole lot of sort of like, there's a lot of violent stuff going on, but there's not a lot of graphic violence that you see. Like it's glorious countryside with sort of the sun rising, and it's really pretty settings and things. It just feels really fantasy, but again, it's like apocalyptic. So it's just really, really interesting to watch. And the cast and how they sort of build them up and get them to come together is really, really well done. It's strong, it's interesting. And like I say, I finished the last episode of the first season yesterday. And there are a few things where it's been a while since I've watched a TV show and been like, no, I don't want that to happen. Like, and actually like really gotten into it. So yeah, I've really enjoyed Sweet Tooth on Netflix. Recommend it. Weekly confessional. This was a big one. So Sacha is going to work on finishing the audiobook, continue reading Rebel Stories. Oh, sorry, we'll do one at a time. Go on.
Yeah, one at a time because there's a lot. So what was the first one?
Work on finishing the audiobook.
Yeah, so I re-recorded edits for I think 4 chapters, and I think 3 summaries, and those all got sent off along with the ones that had already been done to the proofer. So I'm not finished, I'm still not finished, but I am inching closer.
Inching being operative. Continue reading Rebel Stories.
Yep, I only have 3 left. So I think I've read 7 or 8 this week. So I've got 3 left, and I'm going to try very fucking hard to get them finished today.
Start planning October and 2022 content.
Yep, so 2022 content is like on a big yellow post-it the size of my head, and I'm just at the moment putting ideas down rather than like, so that means plan to me, but it's just I just need like a repository at the moment for it. October I've planned all bar 4 days, and that's because I'm still hoping that the audiobook will go live in October, so I need a few days. Like yeah, I haven't finished prepping October content, but I did do the plan. So yeah,
record a presentation,
which I managed to do yesterday. I literally thought I was going to fail. Yeah, that was
one I was hoping on.
Yeah, I have to say that was like, but the thing is, that's why I put it on there, because I was putting it off because I'd done all the prep last week, but my energy's been all over the place, and I was like, I just don't know if I can bring it. So in the end, I recorded it, and I am a bit lackluster in it, I have to say. So sorry to those people who are going to get a lackluster presentation, but it's done and I've sent it off. So.
And continue Silent September.
Yeah.
I think that says it all.
Yeah.
Dan is going to write 20,000 words of ghostwriting. As of right now, I've done 28,500, and I'll probably finish this week on 30,000 at least. Final cover changes for When Winter Comes paperback, hardback, and uploading post-proof. I don't know why I wrote it like that. Yeah, everything's done for When Winter Comes. All the files are up. It's all populating on the site. The hardback looks gorgeous digitally, and I've ordered my sort of first copies to come. Hopefully, like I'm hoping they'll come before launch, but with Ingram being how it is, who fucking knows? And the thing with the thing. So I've done a few things with the thing this week, including the thing with the thing that I said that I do in the thing. So we are there. We're good. And since the thing is one of my challenges for quarter 3, more news on that will be coming very, very soon. So I like the thing with it is I've never even meant to start teasing it. It was just like with this show, I need to be accountable for the stuff that I'm doing. And so I probably could have given it like a better project name or something. Project Whirlwind. It's nearly done. We'll see. What's next? So Patreon, you made a breath. Were you about to do a thing or are you just sniffing again? Okay. Patreon. We have 2 new patrons this week, including the amazing Helen Scheurer and Miriam Giles. So thank you, both of you. Welcome to the Backstage crew. Our next live for Patreon stuff is September 22nd. And we'll be doing a live Q&A. Obviously, you always get the early access to the episodes. They come out 2 or 3 days before they go live on the podcast feeds. And also a little extra cookie for people who are current patrons. Now, you will be first to know what the thing is, and that will be happening very, very soon. So watch out on the Patreon inbox for that. What's something you want to promote this week? Early mornings.
Nothing. I don't have anything. We can skip this one for me this week.
Wow, this is how shit we are at selling ourselves.
I don't have a thing.
Something. Buy Sacha's books. If you are, so I've spent a lot this week doing a lot of the stuff for the NaNo bootcamp. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. It's going to be just, I'm very excited for November coming up. So if anyone is thinking of getting involved in NaNoWriMo this year, then head on over to danielwilcox.com/nano and you can register your interest for. Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
You can register your interest for the bootcamp. You don't have to commit if you're registering your interest. It just lets me know that like I can easily let you guys know what's going on. And yes, more on that will be announced very, very soon as well.
I do have a thing.
Yay! Go on.
I remembered. So in the Rebel Authors Patreon, the Slack group are this wonderful rowdy bunch of chaos. And sometimes these things just happen out of nowhere. And anyway, so as it turns out, I'm now running Rebel Readers, and 4 times a year, we are going to collectively read a book.
Nice.
And then I am going to, so you know how when I read, I like deconstruct stuff down to a forensic level. Well, basically, one of my lovely patrons, Cassie, wants to know how I do it and wants to learn like the art of the deconstruction and then how that gets translated into like a lessons learned. So I'm going to run like a mini masterclass for patrons at a certain level 4 times a year. So we're all going to read the same book. There's like a private Slack channel now dedicated to it, and then we're going to jump on a Zoom and I am going to like deconstruct it, show them what I've done, how I've done it, how you work out what literary tools they've used, and then how you can then apply that into your own work. And it's going to be like informal, so there won't necessarily be like slide decks or anything like that, but I will have done the pre-work. So I read in exactly the same way anyway, so this is like that bit's not like extra. I will just go extra on the deconstruction and like really intentionally like do the reading and make a ton of notes and stuff so that I can share what it is that I do, and hopefully everyone will go away with like new tools or like a new understanding of how and why writers do the things that they do in really good book examples. And we're going to read Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, who is the author of The House in the Cerulean Sea, as our first book. So we're reading that through October and we will meet in November.
Exciting. Nice. Yeah. I also do want to mention as well that I'm very excited because tonight this month I'm the featured author of the Scribbler box, and I've got like a Q&A tonight with the Scribbler guys that I'm very, very excited for. Yeah, that came out of nowhere. So I've had a few people sort of tag me, just I'm looking forward to it, and I'm like, I'm nervous as hell because I have no idea what to expect. There's like no information on like Scribbler for like these interviews, but it's fine. Yeah, I'll manage it, I'm sure. But yeah, that's exciting. Level ups. So I chose this level up from a mass of level ups we got sent last week when I posted asking for what people have been up to. And this one caught my eye just purely for the GIF, because the GIF was freaking phenomenal. But this is from Andre, who says, a small one compared to other people's amazing ones. Let's not compare. Anything for you is huge. But this is humongous for me. I have to stay grounded, though. I'm still going for the end of September challenge. Are you ready? I have finished my first draft of my first book. It took me 16 months.
Oh my goodness me, that is amazing. That is huge.
What a feeling.
Yeah.
What a feeling. 16 months isn't bad going either for a first book.
No.
Like that's not half bad. And if you can like pick it up from then it's awesome. But like, yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Level Up Challenge, just a reminder, because this is rapidly coming to an end for this quarter. But you know, it's still not too late. If anyone wants to get involved, then head on over to our Facebook group, which is Next Level Authors, and you can enter into the challenge. If you complete the thing that you're going to do, that you said you're going to do by the end of September, you'll be entered in to win one of 3 prizes. The first one being a 30-minute call with myself and Sacha, one being a hardback copy of my self-publishing blueprint, and the other being a copy of Sacha Black's 10 Steps to Hero workbook. So if you're not involved, what are you waiting for? If you are involved and you've not yet done the thing, get your asses moving, or don't, because I want to see people juggle some eggs and fail. I'm too excited for that stuff. Okay, comments from last week's question, which was, how do you use social media in your business?
So we had a lot of comments and a lot of quite big comments. So I'm probably only going to pick 2 or 3. So Ara Bell says, I recently started an Instagram and Twitter account, which I'll use for my business. Not so much a fan of Twitter, though. At the moment, I'm just getting used to how to use them and building up some followers. I'll probably create a Facebook page when I'm ready and debating starting a YouTube channel, but not sure if I'll use it for content or just comments. I don't know much about TikTok and probably won't bother unless I'm really missing out on my target audience. I'm already a member of a few writing groups on Facebook, and I'm working on getting noticed more with active participation, which will hopefully develop naturally and with self-promo when allowed into a wider audience. Okay, so Michael Nasberg says, I also have barely used social media for my business, probably to my detriment. It's just discouraging when you hardly get any engagement on posts, even when I did post on a regular basis. I also don't take a lot of photos or share them, and social media engagement always does better with images, so there's not much I can do there. Let's have a look. So Ida uses hashtags, and she's got some like reader communities and writing communities. Posts a lot of funny memes and jokes, and that helps it to grow organically. She doesn't see much interaction on Instagram, but she feels that it might be saturated already. And then John Cronshaw says, I very much dialed back my social media in 2020. For me, advertising works, releasing the next book works, and gathering a mailing list works. That's about it for me.
John is a fantastic model to look and see what he's doing, because John does some fantastic stuff with his books. So check him out, John Cronshaw on Amazon. Plug. Now, this week's question. And so we've said this offline, but it gets progressively harder each week to try and think of a question that we've not in some way addressed. And obviously we can like bring back certain questions because a lot changes in like a year. But I was really, really surprised that we've not actually directly asked this question out of 70, 75 episodes so far. So the question is nice and simple. I'll be interested to know the answer. Sacha Black, what is your why?
But why do I write?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I write?
Well, it's not even just write, is it? It's create. It's, you've built an entire business around creativity. Why?
Wow. Cool.
Gut punch.
Yeah, fuck. God, there are so many different ways I could answer this. And some of them are wrapped up in my psyche. Some of them are wrapped up in like just like a thirst for creativity, I think. Oh God. So, okay. This is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. This is really hard. And it's not because I don't know why. Maybe I feel why I do it, but articulating that is quite hard. I think I may have to address it in steps.
Mm-hmm.
So I write nonfiction. My why for nonfiction is that I am an eternal student. And I think good learners share what they learn. So my why is a desire to continue learning and hoping that that helps other people to learn. So that's my why for nonfiction. My why for fiction this is really hard to answer because I'm in a really bad place with story. So this is like, I'm trying not to feel any emotions right now. Why do I write fiction? Because I have to. That is like my gut reaction is because I have to. I write it because it is oxygen. It is like the creation of magical, fantastical worlds and characters who don't exist, and just like it is life-giving. It is oxygen coursing through your veins, and it is happiness and joy, and like there it is the closest thing to real magic. I think it is impossibility, and I like to defy the odds. So like that is why I write. Like I write because if I don't, I will suffocate. I think is like my why. Now the last why, so I think I have 3 whys, right? And this one is the one that everyone's gonna laugh at. The other reason, the other why, the reason I do it this way as like an independent and as a business owner is because I have to defy the odds. I have to prove that I am better than what people thought I was. And so that is why I want to do it by myself, like as an independent author. Like I have to prove to myself that I can make it alone and make it like make my business and make a really good salary, because I have to beat myself. I have to prove to myself that I can do it and that I am better than everybody who ever doubted me. So yeah, like, and that is such a competition thing, and I knew that, I did know that, and I did know that that's what I was doing. I probably haven't ever admitted that to anybody, but yeah, like this is definitely about winning. This is about winning. I have to win. I have to beat everybody who ever fucking said I couldn't do the thing. Like the fucking French teacher who said I'd never act, and then I went in and said the following school year, you know, I've been on a TV show. It's the doubters and the haters. It's the fucking people that want to squish you and push you down. Well, fuck them. I do this and I'm gonna win because I have to prove to all of them, including my fucking pesky, irritating, imposter syndrome riddled, bitchy little piss brain in there. I have to prove to her as well that I will not be defeated. And that is why I do it this way, in this way.
I want to, if I may, push even deeper. Why do you have to? So many people experience that kind of situation, which fucking sucks. And I agree with you. Like, it's like one of my biggest hates in life are teachers that don't understand the impact of their words, and just how much that really, like, just saying stuff like that crushes a person at such a young age.
Oh, it doesn't crush me. It makes me want to win.
Yeah, but like the amount of people that it does is just, it's fucking soul destroying. But like, you could have gone in either direction. Why do you have to defy all of those odds with all of these different things? Why do you have to come up the victor?
That is like asking somebody why they see the differences in other people. It is just something
low blow.
Well, no, but it's true. Like, it is so true. Like, I was born this way. Like, my dad is also number one competition. Winning is quite literally in my blood. Like, I come from like the firstborn of a firstborn of like a firstborn, all of whom are competitive. Like, it is like, I don't want to beat people I like. I don't necessarily like, it's really
I think you need to reshift that sentence. I think you want to, you just don't like doing it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. No, but like why do I have to beat them? I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Like, I think probably because people who are competitive, like in terms of competition, derive, I don't know, like, okay, so for example, I was watching a Becca Syme thing, and she was talking about people who have belief, like my mum has belief, okay, and they can come across judgmental. But the reason that they are judgmental is because that is how they understand the world. They understand who they are and what is right or wrong by making judgments against other people and weighing those against their values. Like, and so the way I understand the world is by, well, what did I win? Like, what, like, and it's not win as in this, petty, I'm 4 and I have to win this board game. It's not. Win is, you could replace that term with, well, what did I accomplish, or what did I finish, or what did I create? It's just, that is semantics. The word win and competition is just semantics. Like, I have to do this because that is how I measure my life. I measure success, or what I have, I don't know, accomplished by, what, for want of a better word, what I win. But win, to me, the big win is, did I create a successful business? Did I change people's lives with the words that I wrote? Did I help people with the words that I wrote? That is a win. That's what I want to win. I want to win helping people. I want to win making someone cry with my story. I want to win making someone laugh with my silly characters. Like, I want to win. Yeah, okay. I also want to win a very fucking financially successful business. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say no to that, But yeah, like, this is my hesitance with talking about competition, because there are so many stigmas like attached to what being because competitive, you can be competitive without having high competition. Like, these strengths are just about psychology and like how you frame things in order to get the shit done that you want to do. Like, because like, and yeah, I don't know, like, why do I have to? I just, because I have to, because there is a volcano inside me. There is a nuclear bomb inside me.
Gaviscon.
And yeah, and it burns at like 10 million degrees constantly. And if I don't, like, my Gaviscon is doing, and it's like, that funniest my Gaviscon. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
So if I don't do these things, I just blow, you know, and don't be disgusting.
I'm so sorry. Oh, Sam.
I'm a lesbian. No, not really. Not even. I don't know why I said.
Oh, this episode is wild. Okay, like, so the reason that, like, obviously, I think what is your why is a fundamental question that any author should ask himself anyway. And I think, like, not even just author, but like whatever you're doing in life, have a reason, like try and work out what that is, because that is sort of the direction, that's the fuel that like gets you going. And the reason I pushed a bit deeper on that, and I don't want people to come away from this thinking that so I'm momentarily distracted because there's a gnat on the wall and I'm allergic as fuck to those, so it's gone. I'm very allergic. So yeah, I don't want people to come away from this episode thinking like that in any way that question is judgmental. For me, it's kind of like I like understanding people, and the thing that I love about you, and part of the reason that like I said yes to this podcast, I say yes, like I propose a podcast, but like the reason like this is really enjoyable for me is because I see how you work, and I see you, like, your determination, I see your drive, I see that fire. It's unfucking lenting. And like what's really interesting is, especially those first few months of this podcast, and I think kind of we both do this to each other on certain things, is like certain parts of us rub off on the other, like the good bits, and then the bad bits we kind of don't work. For example, early mornings then just like shift away and just you bury them in the sand forever. So like it's just really, really interesting to kind of like hear that why, because mine has, like, I think the fundamentals of my why, because I have two really that I can think of, haven't really ever changed, but kind of like how I view them has. So the reason I started writing, the reason I started this author business, I mean, it goes back fucking years. Like, I think I've never really been happy being employed.
Yeah.
Even like the jobs that I enjoyed, quote, were always the ones that were menial and they took no brain power. And I would, what's the word? I would determinedly avoid promotion because I didn't want to take on all that extra responsibility, because it then took away from the things that I enjoyed doing. So when I did have a lot of sort of jobs, especially during college and university years, it was always, I asked for the most menial, mind-numbing jobs, because that was my recovery. That was my chance to like think as I walked around and like collected glasses or white tables or whatever it was. And then my son was born. And the big why that was and is to this day for me is showing him that like there's more than one option. Like I don't want him to go through life thinking like you have to just be employed, like that's the only way. Like I want him to understand that there are two, and I don't mind which way he goes as long as he's happy and knows that like whatever he does he makes an informed decision. And just to, it's like I feel like this sounds a bit pretentious, but I'll say it anyway, like just to pave the way a bit for him. And again, like show that if you learn, if you commit, if you do the thing, if you stick with it, like good things can happen. And so
can I ask a question on that? But sorry, I know we shouldn't really interrupt. Are both your parents employed, or is one of them self-employed?
Both of them. Well, my dad is employed, and my mum basically has been on and off employed in jobs sort of most of her life.
Yeah, so just how you were saying, like, I also don't mind which way Atlas goes, but I secretly hope that he goes self-employed. And
I'm on the fence.
Are you? Well, I was brought up being told that you should get a job and be employed. And I just think the potential, you have unlimited potential.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the beauties of this. Like, to be fair, both of my son's parents are self-employed, which is huge, and I think a good role model for him. But I do, there's definitely pros and cons of each. Like, I fully understand if he wanted to go down the route of 9 to 5, earn the money, but enjoy the thing that he does, and then the rest of the time just carefree, because we said it before, this business can be all-consuming. But yeah, so no, I definitely wouldn't, like, I've thought about it a few times over the last like year or two, and I couldn't go back. It's just not on the cards for me. Because I'd always be hustling and doing something, so it wouldn't be a rest. But yeah, so that's one reason. And then the other reason is something that I've mentioned on this podcast before, and it's something that just keeps seeding back to me. And it's something that, like, again, it's something I have you to thank for, because it goes into the nonfiction and like the stuff that's been coming out of that from me over the last year or so. But I went back to my first editing website that I built. I used to run a company called Wilcox Editorial, and I did editorial services because my name is Daniel Wilcox, really creative. And for some reason I went back to the old website to take a look at it. And do you know what the top like I had a page that was basically consultancy for people who wanted to self-publish, because that was a product I was like, I could help people with this. This was 2015. Do you know what the top line of that page was? People say that writing can be lonely work, but does it really have to be?
No.
In 2016, in my first ever podcast interview, what were the words that came out of my mouth? Pretty much a variation of the same. When I did Great Writers Share, the intro, like it's one of those threads that's been just, I guess, in this career since I fucking started it. And it's really like I got chills when I read it, and I'm getting chills now.
Yeah,
but like, yeah,
I've got chills.
But like pretty much an almost identical replica of that exact same sentence. And last November I ran. So I'll jump back a little bit, because essentially me and my son's mum, and I'm not going to go massively into this because I do like to respect private personal details and stuff, but I will say that like we had a few really rough years a few years back, and obviously that ended up in us separating. And on top of that, there was a period in which I basically was there's when you come out of a relationship, there's kind of like a reclamation of who you are sometimes, depending on like which way the relationship is swayed. And I in no way speak ill about my son's mother. Like that's not in any way what I'm trying to put across here. But like I went through a period in my life where I needed to be alone, and I needed to focus on me. And when I went full time in 2019, I was still in that period, and I was writing fiction, and it was fantastic because it was like, this is my job, this is my work. Like I can just do the thing, and that's fine. But then, time goes by. I've collaborated with more people. We obviously started this podcast. And when it came to looking at things like the boot camp, like I've run group projects before, like I enjoy being around people, like I work well as part of the team. I wrote a fucking book on collaboration, and the boot camp kind of re-unlocked that message for me, because I worked with a group of 17 writers. Like we came into the Zooms every day, like we chatted, we had fun, we completed NaNo together. And then from that, they basically about at least 50% of the group were like, can you please keep this going? And I was really on the fence as to whether or not to do it, because I'd been so independent up until that point that the idea of committing to a thing each week and to like, stand as that kind of like leader of that group was for me, it was a really difficult torch to carry. And for people who may be new to the podcast, like if you listen to quite a few conversations with me and Sacha on the app here around this time last year, September, October, especially November as well, there's a lot of this. Like I remember those conversations very distinctly. But like over time, that group has evolved, it's expanded. Like pretty much, I don't know, most of the people who are part of that group are still a part of that group. And it's amazing because I'm seeing people come out of amazing things. I'm seeing people benefit from the group. I'm seeing like books published and now like on the shelf from things that we worked on from like months ago. And all of this to say, like, I do think community is a big part of my why. I think there's a real need for me to share and provide a safe space where people can be themselves and ask the questions they need to ask, because writing can be really lonely work. And the stereotype of what people think a writer is so far removed from anyone I know these days who's fucking writing and actually like trying to make a go of it, or like even just doing it creatively for their own sort of enjoyment. Like when you actually get onto a flow and become a writer, it's so different to all of that. And I do think that most of the stuff I've benefited from over the years has been working with other people and sort of collaborating and being in teams and things. And so I'm now in a position in which I've got books coming out. Like I'm happy, like I'm sort of financially doing okay, like growing, things are getting better. But I think my big why at the minute is like, I just really want to help unlock writers. And I really want to, well, not even just writers, but like creatives. Like I understand like the benefits of creativity and what that can bring to people. And one of the things that brings me the most joy is seeing someone who has wanted to write for like 15 years and really struggled to create like a habit or a rhythm, or even just to finish like a short story, and for them to get it fucking done. So like going back to Andrew's level up of the last few weeks of finishing that first draft, that's fucking huge. Like we say it, like just finishing things is huge. And so my why now is just trying to reach people and help them understand that even if you don't want to make a career out of it, there's so much benefit, and there's so much to just having something that is yours, that you can own, that is separate from like family and work and everything else, that you can just kind of like fall into and love. So that's my two whys: my son and unlocking people.
That's such an individualization thing to say. I love it.
Can I just point out as well that you fucking suckered Joanna Penn into the strength stuff as well, and she had Becca Syme on her podcast this week. So,
it was like my favorite episode she's ever done. Do you know what? I even emailed this morning and was like, loved the episode.
Because you got called out.
I know.
Like,
no,
Sacha,
do you know what? I am so filled with joy to share my love of strengths. Like, I loved that she had Becca on there. It's like my two favorite writing humans, like it on a pod. I mean, you know, aside from me and you and all my lovely patrons and all our lovely patrons, and oh my god, just let me say the damn sentence. Like two of my favorite humans, writing humans, on a podcast together. I literally was like listening to the whole episode, and like my joy to share the things that I love.
If you've not checked it out, we'll pop a link in the show notes. Check it out. It is a good episode. I did listen to it yesterday on my walk. But it just made me laugh. It's just like Sacha Black, and I was like, of course it's Sacha. Okay, how are we leveling up our business this week?
Oh shit, I didn't think about that. You go first.
Yeah, so I've got a book to finish for a client, so that's going to happen. And I will have my NaNo pages ready for launch. That's not necessarily live, but they'll be ready for official launch. And then I'm going to research a few places to potentially promote, and hopefully go on and like guest blog and do some stuff to spread the wonderful word about bootcamp.
I am going to finish the first round of reading of the Rebel anthology stories.
Nice.
I am going to work on finishing the audiobook. And I think that might be it this week, just because I'm not quite, my brain isn't in next week yet, so I don't know what else I need to do. Where I want to get to, is I want to be spending more time writing and editing.
You should get up at 5.
You, sir. Can shove that suggestion where the sun don't shine, honey bun.
Oh god, that brought me too much joy. Awesome. Okay, so question for the audience: what is your why? And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Great Writer Share podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
and Sacha
become
Next Level
authors.
I'm starting my jazz band, and I figured this would be an awesome look for a jazz band.
Ooh. Yeah, no, put them back on.
No, I just need a second to like adjust to the light.
No, put them back on.
Why?
Because it's better that way.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm gonna put these ones on. No, I'm not. Here you go with that. You asshole. Okay. Are we ready? Are we good to get into it? Are we pumped? Are we hyped?